Hi students, you are going to be reading your textbook pages today. So right now this is what you should have in front of you. You'll see a picture of kind of a sphere, and it has convection, radiation, and also conduction on your paper. So here's what you need to do. I am going to read it just like we do in class. You are going to follow along and you are going to do what I do, and then you are going to be answering some questions about your reading. In order to get your summary pages, you need to give your science teacher your reading pages with everything marked on it that you want to mark. I'm also going to ask you to get 2 color pencils out. I have red and blue, and then we can get started. First thing we ask you to do is to find the headings or the titles and box and shade. So our first heading is convection. I'm going to box and shade convection, and then I am going to number my paragraph. So convection is paragraph number 1, okay? I'm also going to go ahead and do paragraph number 2 is radiation, and paragraph 3 is conduction. Those are the 3 paragraphs we are going to read today. Okay? Back to convection. I am going to read. Your job is to be thinking about what words and sentences are we going to highlight. What words should we circle? What sentences should we highlight and underline? Here we go. Convection is a type of heat transfer that occurs only in fluids such as water and air. When air is heated, its particles speed up and move farther apart. This makes the heated air less dense. So if it's less dense, that means it floats up. The heated air rises to float on top of the denser, cooler air, which is on the bottom. Cooler air flows into its place, heats up, and rises. Previously heated air cools down, sinks, and the cycle repeats. This flow creates a circular motion known as a convection current. Convection currents in air cause wind and weather changes. So here it says, when air is heated, its particles speed up and move farther apart. This makes the air less dense. So hot air rises to the top. Then what happens is as the air goes up, it cools down and becomes more dense and floats to the bottom. Then on the bottom, it heats up, moves faster, and becomes less dense and goes to the top. When the air is up high, it gets cooler and becomes more dense and goes down, and the cycle repeats and repeats and repeats. Okay? Your job is to think about what words are we going to circle, and then what sentence are you going to underline. Okay, so you're going to do that now. All right, students, here is what I would circle. First of all, I would circle convection, right? So convection, other things that we could circle is heated air rises, okay, and floats, okay? And then cooler air goes down and sinks, okay? That cycle or circular motion is known as convection current. So there's a lot of things we have circled in a lot of different sentences, okay? I think the sentence we should underline is this flow creates a circular motion known as a convection current, right? That is probably what we should underline. However, that circular motion is right here. Heated air rises, cooler air goes down and sinks, okay? So right now, this is what you should have on your paper. Let's take a look at radiation. I'm going to read. You are going to be thinking about what we should circle and underline. Radiation is the transfer of energy by electromagnetic waves. Radiation is the only form of heat transfer that does not require matter. So think about where there is no matter, okay? you can feel the radiation from a fire without touching the flames. The sun's energy travels to Earth through 150 kilometers of empty space. So radiation, an example where there is no matter, is in space. So the sun's heat is radiation because the sun's heat travels through space where there are no particles and no matter. Okay? All right, students, what do you think you should circle and underline? Do that now. All right, so first I'm going to circle radiation. That's our main topic, okay? Also, I'm going to circle that radiation is electromagnetic waves, okay? Electromagnetic, and we're going to talk more about that as the weeks go on. I'm also going to circle it does not require matter. That's an important one, okay? Now, we need to circle or underline something. What sentence do you think we should underline? Okay, type your sentence in your Edpuzzle. All right, students, if you underlined radiation is the transfer of energy by electromagnetic waves, that's a good one to underline. Yours should look like ours. Do that now. All right, students, finally, let's go down to conduction, okay? I'm going to box and shade conduction. I should have boxed and shade radiation. Let's do that. Okay, let's look at conduction. It's very different from convection and radiation. Conduction transfers heat from one particle of matter to another within an object or between two objects. The fast-moving particles in the floor of the oven collide with the slow-moving particles in the uncooked pizza. This causes the pizza's particles to move faster, making the pizza hotter. Okay? So, right now, you need to decide what are we going to circle and what are we going to underline. So first, tell us the words that you are going to circle. All right, students, conduction is a word we should circle, okay? Another thing I think we should circle is it transfers heat, because everything transfers heat, but it transfers heat from one particle to, I'm going to put a box around that, another within an object or between two objects, okay? That is what we should circle. Now, if we're going to underline something, it kind of makes sense what we should underline. So underline your sentence now and tell us what sentence did you underline. You should have underlined conduction transfers heat from one particle of matter to another. Okay? On the side of your paper, I want you to write the word, or on the bottom here, write the word touch. Because conduction is all about heat being transferred through two objects touching each other. For example, they talk about the pizza. The pizza is touching the pan, or the pizza is touching the grate on the oven. When something touches something else that's hot, that is conduction, right? That is different from radiation, because radiation, it says you do not need to touch the fire to feel the heat, okay? Conduction, you do need to have it touching. All right, students? Now, when the video pauses, you are going to write the main idea about what objects need for conduction. Do that now. All right, students, last thing. Let's take a look at our heat transfer and applying concepts. Heat transfer, it says, a wood fire pizza oven demonstrates 3 types of heat transfer. Okay, well, you know what those 3 types are because we have 1, 2, 3. But how does a wood fire pizza oven demonstrate this? Okay, this picture is a wood fire pizza oven. Here we have a fire, okay, and it's giving off heat. Here we have the pizza, okay? Here we have the pizza on the bottom of the oven, and it is touching the oven right here. So I'm even going to write touching right here, okay? Here, this part is radiation, because we learned earlier that radiation from a fire, the fire flames do not need to touch the pizza to make it hot. Then also, these circles are all about convection. I know it's hard to see, but try and write convection on these circles, okay? Convection. Because what's happening is the heat here is getting hotter and it rises, okay? Then as it gets up to the top and away from the fire, it cools off and it sinks. And then it gets close to the hot fire and it warms up and it rises. And then when it's up top, it gets cold and it sinks, and it goes around and around and around. And that heats up the entire oven, okay? So we have number 1. Write a number 1. We have a number 2, radiation from the fire. And we have a number 3. The pizza is touching the bottom of the oven, and the bottom of the oven is hot. 3 types. Okay, do that now. Here it says, describe a heat transfer that occurs after the pizza comes out of the oven. So when the pizza comes out of the oven, what kind of heat is still being transferred? So think about our 3 types. If the pizza is now out of the oven, would this still be happening? If the pizza is out of the oven, would it still be by the fire? Or if the pizza is out of the oven, is it still touching something hot? Which one do you think it is? Okay, here's what you're going to write. The heat transfer that occurs, is what? Because, and then you tell us why. Is it because of something hot that's next to it but not touching? Is it because the pizza is still touching something hot when you take it out? Is it because there's some hot air outside the oven? What do you think? Okay, you're going to answer this question on your paper, and you're going to answer the question on your Ed puzzle. Good luck, students.